Hey guys, coming to you from my living room tonight instead of my office. I just wanted to change it up a little bit, change up the room and the vibe, and I kind of needed to do that for myself because this week we're talking about discipline. And the flip side of that is distractions. For myself, I feel like I've been kind of distracted all week. I've had a really hard time um, just kind of hunkering into what I need to do, and I've been kind of not motivated, and I've sort of been lacking discipline. And so I thought it was really timely because I was struggling with it to talk about it. And part of the reason I was struggling with this discipline is because I got a kitten this week who is always right where he doesn't need to be, which is always right by me. So it's really hard to focus because he's just a ball of energy. He's only 8 weeks old and I love him. And my house is a zoo. So why have I been lacking motivation? My routine was thrown off. New element of a little kitten came into it. But anytime any of our routines get thrown off, we can lack discipline, or we can have some, for myself, I know I have a hard time readjusting to that routine again. So I thought discipline was really important for us to talk about because so many people lack it. They really do. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, we lack the discipline to do the things we need to do or that we want to do, and we end up procrastinating, we end up not planning well, and then we're scrambling at the last minute because we weren't disciplined to just do the right thing when we were supposed to do it. This last week, there's been so many times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna edit my chapter 1 of my dissertation, and then I didn't because I was like, oh, well, technically I have like 2 years to get this thing done. That's not true at all. I have like 2 months to get this thing done. But in my mind, I haven't been disciplining myself, and I was doing a really great job of it at the start of the summer. But now it's the end of August, and been doing a lot of work and haven't seen the results I want to see because dissertation writing is a long process. So I was talking to Tom about it today, and I was like, I've been feeling really unmotivated and undisciplined. I don't know why. And he was like, you're looking at your goals too far in advance. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I think that sometimes when we focus on too long of or too distant of a goal, we kind of lose sight of what we need to do in the shorter term to get to that goal. And I was like, that's a really good point, Thomas. Thank you. And I wanted to bring it up to you guys because I thought it was a really good point. And I know in my mind, I'm 2 years ahead, right? I'm 2 years ahead. I'm planning a wedding in 2 years. I am writing or getting my doctorate in 2 years. I am writing a book in 2 years, right? But that's not stuff I'm doing now. Right now, I'm not engaged yet. I'm not even a doctoral candidate. I'm just a doctoral student. And I have chapters of books, but I haven't sat down to write them yet, right? So it's just this idea of I have all these big goals that I plan on, doing and focusing on, but I'm not doing the small work in between because I'm not being disciplined. Because I'm looking at those goals and I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet. And instead of being like, okay, well, I'm gonna check off this little thing I can do today to get me closer to that goal, instead I'm like, well, it's not here yet, so I can put it off. We might do that a lot with our physical goals, like maybe our weight or our fitness or our health, and we're like, yeah, well, I'll get my summer body in summer. And that's not when summer bodies are built. Summer bodies are built in winter. Summer bodies are built with discipline. And so, how do we get discipline? Great question. Some people need an accountability partner, right? So you might need somebody who will help you along, that you can kind of check and balance yourself off of. And they have to be somebody you kind of respect and that you trust, and that when they, give you a verbal wallop, you don't kind of flip out and get upset with them, you're like, darn, I know, you're right, good point. Appreciate that. I have a friend who I'm sort of her accountability partner in life. So when she's kind of giving her energy out to someone who doesn't deserve it, or she's being emotional or dramatic in places she really shouldn't be, and she's probably watching and she knows who she is, I kind of check her to help her, because right now she doesn't have the ability or the discipline or the stamina to kind of check herself. Some of us can check ourselves, and that's awesome. That takes discipline, right? And that takes not getting distracted. So, and for me, it takes being like on routine. If I'm in my routine, it's very hard to distract me, and I'll get stuff done and I'll be disciplined. But if I'm not in my routine, and a lot of us with COVID and working from home and work from home balance, we're not in those routines, or we're trying to figure those routines out. And until we get there, our discipline's off and the distractions are big. For those of you working from home with small kids, or any kids, honestly, that can be a really big distraction, because now you're like, well, I need to get my work done, but also I'm at home, and my home realm is a parent, and I want to make sure my kid's okay. How do we balance it? We discipline ourselves. How do we discipline ourselves? Maybe we have an accountability partner. Maybe we get ourselves in routines, or maybe we have a group that we talk to. Maybe our coworkers are going through the same things that we are, so we kind of commiserate with them and hold ourselves accountable in that way. I don't want to go back. I keep doing this. Everything builds on each other, right? So when you have discipline, you're accountable, you're making good choices, you're aware of what you are and are not doing, right? It all goes back to kind of knowing yourself, so you can grow yourself. Know yourself to grow yourself. And discipline, so science tells us there's two locus of disciplines: external locus of control and an internal locus. And so someone who is an internally controlled person can control themselves by themselves. Maybe like cross-country runners, long-distance runners control themselves by themselves physically. This is a big, in the text I'm reading about working and home balance, the idea of integration versus segregation. If you're an integrator, you kind of seamlessly balance work and home, and there's no real compartmentalization. And if you sort of segment, then you kind of section your life off into certain realms. And those of us who have discipline, we kind of, it doesn't matter what comes our way, because we are so disciplined that we are able to integrate ourselves into any realm. But those of us who need discipline might get segmented. What that looks like is maybe at work, the more responsibility, usually the more advancement you have in your job, you probably have a lot more trust, and you have a lot of people who aren't really looking over your shoulder. You might make the rules, or you might be on the path to making the rules. So maybe you don't clock in, maybe you don't have to take your breaks when someone tells you to. That's an integrated person. They're internally controlled because they know they're going to get their work done. Their bosses know they're going to get their work done. They take breaks when they need to. They do what they need to. Maybe an entrepreneur will be like this idea of just sort of internally motivated, disciplined, and controlled. No one has to tell them what to do. An externally controlled person or disciplined person needs that external discipline. A lot of us are like this. We need a coach to tell us what to do, and then we do it. We need our boss to tell us when to take a break, so we take it. We need, maybe if we're younger, our parents to tell us when to clean our rooms, right? As children, we are sort of, a lot of times, externally motivated or externally disciplined. We might not get up every morning and make our bed, but our parents might tell us to, so we do it. That external discipline, it's not great. So yes, it's good to have an accountability partner. Absolutely. Any discipline is better than no discipline, right? But the successful people are going to self-discipline. They just kind of do. It's just kind of what we do. No one told me to get on here and talk to you guys tonight. I'm just disciplining myself to do it. Just kind of what has to happen. Another example of the Army. There's a lot of soldiers out there. Some of them need to be told how to do and what to do it, and they're probably not the most successful soldiers. Although the Army, they'll tell you what to do and how to do it. And then there's people who are self-motivated or self-disciplined, and they're the good soldiers because they do what they have to do to be successful in the Army, no matter what, or the Navy or the Air Force or anything. Same thing is true with the gym. Are you going there by yourself because you want to better yourself, or does someone have to tell you to go? I am guilty of this, where Thomas is always like, when are you going to the gym? And I'm like, I don't really want to go to the gym. I don't prioritize it. I'm not disciplined in going to the gym. I am disciplined to work out every day at my house, or to go for walks or runs every day. Yeah, I'm getting disciplined to eat healthier and more aware. But when I'm slacking, he'll kind of like kick me. External discipline, right? So the flip side of discipline is distractions. And there's so many distractions out there to keep us from disciplining ourselves. And that's why they always say, if you're doing work or you're doing an assignment or you're doing pretty much anything ever, keep your phone away. Your phone's a huge distraction. Obviously, there's so many things to do on your phone. What's everybody else doing? Oh, what recipe should I look up? Oh my God, look at how cute these cats are. Right? Obviously, I'm on my phone, but it is a temptation all the time to check your phone out. And science tells us that the minute you break concentration, even to look at an email or your phone, you actually are doing your brain a huge disservice. Your brain best functions in hour to 2 hour spans. That's why if you discipline yourself to do small things every day to work toward a bigger goal, you'll get a lot more done, more effectively. Whereas if you try to chunk it all at the end, it's never going to work out really well for you. You can do it. This isn't a challenge. You can do that. You can live like that. But it's not discipline. That's scrambling. That's what the lack of discipline. That's because you were distracted. Distractions, there are so many of them. I mean, first off, physical things. Our phone, our friends, the TV, a good book. That's another thing. I picked up a book. Terrible. I don't have any discipline. When it comes to books, like books for enjoyment reading, it is very hard for me to discipline myself until I'm done with that book. I give so much attention. I'm a lit nerd, right? So there's that. But books, sports maybe for some of us, TV if we really like the TV, sometimes music, not always. There's so many things, physical things that can distract us and keep us from disciplining ourselves into what we have to do. Social events, going out, oh, I really need to get this work done, but all my friends are going to grab food, so I'm gonna go grab food and I'll deal with this later, right? I'll skip class and I'll do it, right? That's what we do. It's not great. It's harder to discipline ourselves, right? That's taking the hard way. This is going back to choices. Choosing what to do. Am I going to choose to discipline myself and do the work I have to do? Or am I going to choose to go with the distraction and I'll do this work later, even though I know I have to do it? So those are some physical distractions that keep us from being disciplined. But there's other things. We have emotional distractions. Almost all emotions are going to distract you. I don't know how else to say it. Emotions are distracting. If you care about someone, if you are worried about something, if you are anxious about something, I guess that's worried, but a little different. If you are guilty over something, if you're grieving over something, if you're extremely excited about something, all of that, all of emotional things will distract you. They're sort of the opposite of discipline, and the opposite of logic, and the opposite of a lot of things. And the thing is, we're humans. Humans get excited. We cannot help it. Or humans get upset, you know? And actually, the science tells us that emotions only last for like 20 seconds, right? So anytime you're feeling some type of way, that's you choosing to feel that way. The segmenter, going back to that balance thing, if you segment, a lot of times you're kind of good at compartmentalizing. For me, I know I'm very good. It's not good. This is a bad. I'm not a good example right now, but I'm very good at putting my emotions in a small little like lockbox to do what I need to do to get it done. I don't really let my emotions get in the way of doing what I have to do. And when I was teaching in the classroom, those kids never knew what was going on in my life because I gave them a consistent Miss Eichel every day because I was good at compartmentalizing. That doesn't mean that my colleagues didn't know. They knew what was up. But in my classroom, they didn't know. Right? And I'm not saying that's a good way to be. I'm really not. But I am saying that there is some benefit to putting those emotions aside or dealing with them in some constructive, healthy way so that you can focus on and discipline yourself on what you need to do. My cat is sleeping over here and he's so cute. Talk about a distraction. That was completely unplanned, total distraction, taking me away from what I need to do. Right. So, best thing to do is to be self-aware. Self-awareness just changes our ability to be our best selves. I mean, it really does. It takes us from like, to, because at least you know, right? So what distracts you? Do you know that a Thursday night is going to really distract you? Have your work done before it, right? Do you know that your cat's really cute and is going to distract you? Maybe broadcast from another room, right? Do you know that work really gives you anxiety? Maybe plan a little bit better for it. I just finished up statistics and it really gave me anxiety. I was so nervous about statistics. So I put aside a little bit of time every day to work on statistics. And I got so far ahead that my classmates were like, how are you always the first one posting? And I was like, I was so anxious to fall behind that I somehow got ahead because I just diligently sort of disciplined myself and worked at it every day, right? So find out those things that distract you. Find out those things that can help to discipline you. A calendar, a schedule, a list. I always hold myself accountable to my lists. I don't know why. I don't know if that even counts as internal discipline. Maybe it does. But if that thing isn't checked off my list, I don't like to move things to tomorrow. I want that thing done today. So disciplining, for me, I want a list. I want a routine. I want a calendar or 7. Those are things I need to discipline myself. What do you need? I don't know. Maybe you need an accountability partner. Maybe you need to journal in the morning. Maybe you need to discipline yourself to wake up earlier and you have to set 4 alarms to do it. What it comes down to is choices. Everything does. Do we want to get this thing done or don't we? Do we want this to happen this way or no? You know what I mean? It's just a matter of, are we going to discipline ourselves and do what we need to do? Or are we going to allow ourselves to get distracted by physical things, by emotional things, by intellectual things, by spiritual things? I mean, we can get distracted by so many things. We're like Doug in Up, like squirrel, right? And I just did it before, like cat. We're human. We do it, but it's important to be aware of it. So If you like what you're hearing, I'm going to keep bringing it to you. And thank you for joining me on the ride. I hope that this is helping you. And if it is, hit subscribe so that we can get to our 100 subscribers. And I will see you here next week talking about a new topic. Night, guys.